so that you can actually see the problems being done. I know the solutions are already available on the website along with a clean copy, but there's something to be said for actually seeing the problems be solved in real time. So I don't have my regular calculator with me, so I'm going to be using my graphing calculator. So things might look a little bit different, but not very much. Let me turn that on. So the first problem, and again, note the directions on here. You're going to be graded more heavily this time on presentation and organization. So please be careful that your presentation skills are as good as possible. We're looking at a cylindrical footing over here, a cylinder, and the problem tells us that the formula for finding the volume of this footing is V is equal to pi times r squared times h, where r, of course, is the radius and h is the height. And if I'm going to be really, really picky about this, and I probably should because I'm picky with you, is this should be a lowercase h. If it's a lowercase h here, then it should be a lowercase h in there, but minor correction. Although I would take a point off on your test. So we're going to find the height for a cylinder, for this cylinder, one that has a volume of 314 cubic inches and a radius of 6 inches. So the first thing I'm going to do, the first thing you should do, is go ahead and copy down the formula, pi r squared h. And all I'm going to do now is go ahead and substitute in the values that I have. 314 for the volume is equal to pi times radius squared, so it's going to be 6 squared times h. And now I'm ready to go ahead and solve for h. So what I'm going to do is I have to get rid of these two guys so that I can isolate the h. So I'm going to divide both sides by pi and 6 squared. And I'm going to make this as clean as possible, so I'm going to probably show some steps that are not necessary. So I've got 314 divided by pi 6 squared is equal to pi 6 squared h divided by pi 6 squared. And as you can see, the pi is reduced down to 1s, the 6 squared is reduced down to 1s, leaving me with just an h. And over here, I've got 314 divided by pi times 6 squared. Now, I have to solve this. I'm going to do that on my calculator, and at the same time, I'm going to go ahead and reverse the sides. So it's going to be h is equal to, so I have 314 divided by, and I've got to put some parentheses in here because I have more than one term on the bottom. So it's divided by parentheses pi, and my pi key is in a different location on this calculator, so it's second pi, and it's times 6 squared, and there's my other parentheses. So I get 2.7763, and you know how I like to take it out 4 places. And then I'm going to go back into the problem, and it says that I'm supposed to round to 1 decimal place, so its height is equal to 2.8, and my units on the height are going to be inches. And there you have it. Let's go on to the next one. This formula is with respect to moment of inertia on this beam, and it's asking me to find the width of the beam if I know that d, which is the height, is 22 inches, and I, the moment of inertia, is 3,846 inches to the 4th, and don't let that 4th bother you. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to copy down the formula. I is equal to bd cubed over 12. And now I'm going to substitute in, just pure clean substitution. And in place of I, I've got 3,846 is equal to b. B is the width. Well, that's what I'm looking for, so he's going to stay there. Times d cubed. D is the height, and it tells me that the height is 22 inches, so it's 22 cubed all over 12. So I'm after b. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and clear out this fraction. I'm going to do that by multiplying both sides by 12. So I have 12 times 3,846 is equal to b times 22 cubed over 12 times 12. And I'm going to make that look like a fraction because I have a fraction here. And you can see that these reduce down to 1. And while I'm at it, I might as well go ahead and put these together. It's no big deal. So I'm going to say 12 times 3846. 46,152. 46,152. I could hold off on that. I just decided to do it. I don't always do things the same. And it's going to leave me B times, how about we do this one at the same time? 22 to the third power, 22, and I need a caret. My caret key on this calculator is over here, to the third, 22 to the third. So I get 10648. Okay, and I'm ready to solve for B, so I'm going to be dividing both sides by this number. So I have 46,152 divided by 10648 equals B times 10648 divided by 10648. And you can see these reduce down to ones, leaving me with B is equal to, and now all I have to do is that division. So I'm going to divide the top by the bottom. I have the bottom sitting there in my calculator. Remember, we can recall an answer. So it's going to be 46,152 divided by, and I'm going to recall that answer, so it's second answer, and enter 4.3343. Go back into the problem. The problem says round to the nearest quarter of an inch. The nearest quarter of an inch. So I know I have 4 full inches. B equals 4 full inches, and then I have this much left over. So what we're going to do on the calculator, while everything is still sitting in there, we're going to remove the 4, and there's just the change, and we're going to multiply that by 4 because we're going to the 1/4 of an inch times 4. That gives us 1.337 fourths. Round that to the nearest whole number. That's going to be 1, so I get 1/4, and my units are inches. Okay, let's do one more. I think we might be able to get one more done within the 10-minute time limit. This is an electronics formula for power. Power is equal to voltage squared over resistance. It says find the voltage. Find the voltage. So in that case, that's E. Voltage is E here. Find the voltage in a 1,364 watt circuit. Watts. There's my power with 12.4 ohms of resistance. So I'm going to copy down the formula. P is equal to E squared over R. I'm going to substitute in what I have. And oh, by the way, you know, maybe we'll do this problem a different way, because you can always solve for the variable first and then plug the numbers in. So let's change it up a little bit. So I'm going for voltage, so I'm going to isolate the voltage first. I'm going to isolate that. So I'm going to clear this fraction out by multiplying both sides by R. So I have P times R is equal to E squared over R times R, and I'll make that look like a fraction. These guys drop out, leaving me with PR equals E squared. Well, I want to know what E is, so I'm going to have to take the square root of both sides. So if I take the square root of PR, I'm going to take the square root of E squared. And I can't do a darn thing with this one, but I sure can with this one. So I get the square root of PR is equal to E. And now I'm going to use that formula to go ahead and solve this problem. And I'm going to start by writing it over in this next column because I'm going to probably run out of room. So E is equal to the square root of PR. E is equal to the square root of, well, what's P? P stands for the power in watts, and it says I have a 1,364 watt circuit. Stretch this out. And times the resistance, which is 12.4. 12.4. And I wrap that in parentheses because I have a decimal there and a multiplication there, and I don't want to confuse the two. So now I'm going to go ahead and enter this in my calculator, and there's my square root sign, so it's going to be second, and there's my square root sign, and now I'm going to put this whole thing in here. So I've got 1,364 times 12.4, and I'm going to close the parentheses on here just to be safe, and I end up with 130 0.0522. Go back into the problem and read the directions. Round your answer to 1 decimal place. E is equal to 130.1. And what are the units? The units for E are voltage measured in volts. And there you have it. And I'll continue on in just a moment.